Well folks, it's a couple days after Christmas. I've been seeing my family, consuming far too much alcohol, but there is still just one thing on my mind. Did all of Ruby's kids actually get presents this year? We need to know. If you remember, this time last year, we were all talking about the drama with Ruby, where she made a video saying that a couple of her kids weren't going to be getting presents because they were acting selfishly, even though they were like 6 years old. And now it's a year on, and you could argue that Ruby has only gotten worse in that year. In fact, I don't even know if it's really an argument. So I started having a look, you know, I went on the Mums of Truth Facebook page, the Connections YouTube channel, all that stuff, and they didn't really mention anything to do with presents, but what I found was arguably just as bad. But before we get any further, if you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so. I'm trying to hit 400,000 subscribers on this channel. We're about 30,000 away right now, so we're quite a bit away, but any help would be much appreciated, okay? Thank you. So it's this video on the Connections page called What is Love? And now, I've got to be honest, straight away I was thinking, if I really wanted to know what love was, I wouldn't go to Ruby and Jodi. And after I watched this video, it was for good reason, because they go on to talk about the behavioural wilderness camp that they sent their son Chad to. In case you aren't aware, 2 years ago, a video was uploaded on the 8 Passenger channel called Where is Chad?, where they basically explain that they've sent him to a camp.
Chad today has just entered the Anasazi Foundation Wilderness Therapy Program, where he's going to spend the next 8 to 10 weeks living in the
Anasazi Desert.
Yeah, the desert mountains of Arizona.
I mean, what a lovely thing to do, isn't it? They felt like one of their kids was behaving a little badly, and let's be honest here, if we look at the track record of the things that Ruby has been pissed off about with her kids doing, it probably wasn't even that bad. I mean, they literally made this same kid, Chad, sleep on the floor without a bed for 7 months because he told one of his siblings that they were going to Disneyland when they weren't. And they made him sleep on the floor for 7 months. So if you include that 7-month punishment with this, what, up to 3-month punishment, he's been punished for 10 months for stuff that, let's be honest here, wouldn't be that bad.
So you're probably wondering, what did Chad do? Okay, we're not even going to entertain that stuff, but it's an accumulation of things over years, well before we ever started YouTubing or well before we ever got into social media. And it's reached a point where Chad needs to develop some very basic maturity and skills that he's going to need as an adult. And
this is a chance for like a reset, I guess.
God, they're making it seem like he's killed somebody. Like, has he robbed a bank or something? Like, did he push like an old woman on the street over? Like, you're making it seem as if he's done something very, very horrible. Well, like I said, if I had a guess, and it is only a guess, it probably isn't that bad, because we've seen what Ruby and Kevin get angry at their kids for in the past, and it's never really that bad, especially when you consider the punishments they get. But in case you aren't aware of what these wilderness therapy camps actually are like, there are many, many articles online talking about just how horrific the conditions are and how horrific the kids get treated there. Like, we have this article here that says, the wilderness therapy that teens says feels like abuse. You are on guard at all times. And it goes on to talk about a specific person's experience at this camp. The program took place in Wingate, Utah, a tiny desert town where temperatures rise above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 degrees Celsius throughout the summer, and drop below 40 degrees Fahrenheit and 4 degrees Celsius at night. She had heard stories of participants being made to hike 10 miles, being starved, not showering for 3 months, getting infections. I was not looking forward to that. 6 years on, Rowan is still reckoning with PTSD symptoms triggered by the experience. From the moment she was picked up by the transporters and driven to the grounds to meet the rest of her group, she knew something wasn't right. The staff driving the van were just a few years older than she was and spent the bumpy ride making fun of her for vomiting the Wendy's burger she had just eaten. She refused to hike and sat on the ground. I said, I'm just gonna sit here. And they were like, well, you can sit here all day long. We had someone sit here for 27 days, and eventually they gave up. No one gets out. To keep Rowan from running away in the middle of the night, the staff covered her sleeping bag with tarp after she tucked herself in. They placed 5-gallon containers of water on both sides so they would make some noise if she moved. She couldn't adjust her body to be comfortable and began to have a panic attack. Soon she was using old coping mechanisms, including self-harm. I was scratching myself, trying to cut myself. and they respond with a very violent, physical, painful restraint where they hold you and force your hands to go towards your wrists, which can also often result in spraining or breaking wrists. Between 120,000 and 200,000 children live in these facilities, which are regulated through complicated laws on state-by-state basis. There is no national set training standards or background checks for employees in frontline positions. One organisation's hiring requirement might require a college degree and certifications for all staff, while another will simply require staffers to be over 18 years old. Data gathered by the US Government Accountability Office recorded more than 1,500 staff being involved in litigations for abuse in 33 states in 2005. The last year data was made available. Most of these involved restraints gone too far or done incorrectly, causing broken bones, joint dislocations and sprains. Now obviously this is just one person's experience from these camps, but like I said, there are so many articles online talking about how negative the people's experiences are at these camps, and how they are just completely horrible for your children. But now that brings us over to the New Connections video called What is Love? And they basically spend a video talking about how love isn't giving your kids what they want, it's about putting like rules in place and all this stuff. Jodi goes on to explain her experience with loving her children.
So for example, I was telling Ruby, my daughter had a birthday the other day, and she was choosing to behave super selfish. And she and I were conversing, and I said, wow, and this was on her birthday, I said this, wow, I am really sad and it hurts my heart to watch you behave so selfishly. And Ruby smiled like, wow, you said that on her birthday? And I said, yeah, I did. And she's like, good job, high five.
You know what? It wouldn't surprise me if they bonded over the times where they've been like a bit mean to their kids. Like I can imagine them just talking about it for hours upon hours being like, oh, what? And then you took their bed away. Fucking come here, mate. Now, they try and be vague with what the kid's actually done. Like Jodi just said there, her kid was being selfish on her birthday, which could mean a plethora of things. But from the examples that we do know in the past, like Chad playing a prank on his brother about Disneyland, being punished for it for 7 months and not being able to sleep on a bed. And then we've got Ruby's 6-year-old daughter who forgot to pack her own lunch for school. So when the teachers rang Ruby to bring a lunch for her and they were worried about her, Ruby just said no, she's gonna starve because it's her fault. So who knows what Jodi's kid did on her birthday that was just so selfish that Ruby had to kind of like be a little mean to her. Maybe she just wanted like some extra birthday cake. Something. You know, I reckon Jodi would be fuming about that. But that's basically what the majority of the video's about, and then we get to Ruby explaining her experience with her kids and how she loves them so much, and she goes on to talk about Chad and being sent to this behavioural wilderness camp.
And one of our children showed up in a real concerning way. And we knew that we had a certain amount of years before this child was going to be an adult and be out on his own. And so we said, what is the most loving thing that we can do for this child?
Yeah, that's definitely what you said. What is the most loving thing I can do to this child, you know? Not a new bike or anything like that. Behavioural wilderness camp for a few months. Yeah. That's so loving. And the way she says, oh, we had to think fast because he's going to be an adult soon and he can do what he wants. It's almost like she loves this control that she has over her kids. And we saw it before with Shari when she went to university, or the American equivalent of university, so she was going to be leaving their house. Ruby literally said that she's not going to like Shari being away because she has no control. But yeah, everywhere, let's carry on listening to how she's going to explain this one.
Having him go to a wilderness therapy camp was what we came up with, because we didn't want the other children to think that we were condoning the behavior that was going on in the home.
So basically, they used Chad as an example of, by the way, to the other kids, if you behave a little bit selfishly or something like that, and you might play a prank on your brother about Disneyland, you'll be sent to the woods for a few months with like no food, to which Ruby seems to think is a beautiful idea.
So he went to a wilderness therapy camp, and he was there living on the ground of the Arizona desert.
Like, fuck, who sends their kid there? Like, it just doesn't make sense in my head. I mean, look at the picture that she literally used in her video for an example. They send their kid here with just a tent with absolutely nothing around it for months because they thought he was being like a little selfish or something. She is fucking mental.
And he was only face to face with literally the earth. It was him,
look at
the
her smiling,
sun,
man,
and the dirt. And when on a good day, he would have, you know, beans and rice.
On a good day, he would have beans and rice, right? So what does he have on the other days then? I mean, like I said on the article that we read earlier, these camps are known for doing many bad things, but one of them is starving the children. And for some reason, Ruby is okay with this.
And he could eat foliage as he hiked. He would distill water from streams. He learned how to build a fire from sticks. He started developing, I can survive. I can do hard things.
Yeah, but you didn't send him to this camp because you wanted him to become the next Bear Grylls. You sent him to this camp because you thought he was behaving badly, and you thought this would be a suitable punishment. So don't try and twist it now. I mean, she just said there that the kids would merely have to just eat foliage, like leaves and stuff, when they're hiking. Like, that is not a healthy environment to be in, for fuck's sake. If you're gonna be doing that much exercise and hiking for 10 miles a day, you're gonna need more than some leaves.
It was just a wake-up call. It was a little taste of what truth could look like and could feel like.
I mean, that's not a very good way of promoting truth, is it? Like, or what? Being in truth is going to feel like being stranded in a desert with no food and you're going to be hiking 10 kilometers a day while you're dehydrated. Yeah, I think I'll pass.
And he'll tell me there was one time he was climbing a mountain, practically straight up. If he fell, it would be to his doom.
Oh, and that's funny, is it? Eh? Like, if he fell, it'd be to his doom. He'd die! Like, what is she laughing about? I feel like any other mother, if they felt like they had put their kid in a scenario where he could have potentially died, they would feel so guilty. I mean, they wouldn't have put him in that scenario in the first place, but if it happened, they would not be laughing.
He had a big pack on his back, and he said, Mom, I did it, and I prayed. I gained a relationship with God.
Fucking hell. You put your kid in a scenario where he felt like he was going to die, and that was your way of making him have a relationship with God, right? Surely there are so many better ways to do that than putting your kid in a scenario where he could fucking die. Worst case scenario, what if he did? Then what do you get out of this? Would you still be sat here like, well, at least it was in truth? No, I mean, actually, I don't even know what she would say. I was going to say, of course she wouldn't, but who fucking knows at this point?
And it was just the greatest gift that he'd ever been given, and he's already said, I don't ever want to go back to the life I was living before.
Yeah, because if he goes back to the life he was living before, you send him away to another camp again, where his life's at risk. Like, well done. You've scared the boy into thinking that if he does behave a little badly, or if he's not on his absolute best behaviour at all times and doing exactly what you want him to, then he'll be put back in a scenario where he's living in a desert with no food, dehydrated, and could die. Like, well done. Really good parenting. But yeah, either way, that's it for the video. I mean, let me know your thoughts down below and all that stuff. Like, this is genuinely just mind-blowing at this point, and it seems like they're only going to get worse throughout 2023, which is a big shame. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. But if you did enjoy this video, please do leave a like down below, subscribe if you are new, and if you want to let me know suggestions to talk about in the next videos, the best way to do that's on my Instagram. It's @MARKIE. It's linked in the description. And until the next one, I'll see you guys in a bit, alright? Goodbye.